guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be testing out and giving you my first impressions of a bunch of products that I purchased in the last few months. I've had these products sitting in a bag right here and I have not had time to actually film like a full first impressions. So I wanted to do that today because I have a lot of stuff that I want to show you. So the first thing I'm going to go in with is this Milk Hydro Primer. This is actually a primer that I have been loving. And basically what I do is I just put it all over my skin, and after a certain point it starts to dry and then it feels like really tacky. So once it gets to that point, I usually just stop. I don't move the product around anymore. So I usually leave it alone once it gets to that tacky point. Let me go ahead and get some chapstick because my lips kind of hurt today, and then we're going to go ahead and start off with the eyes. I use my Aquaphor Lip Repair to put on my lips. Now I'm going to go in with the MAC Prep and Prime Eye Primer. So I'm just going to go ahead and place that on my eyes really quickly. So for eyeshadow today, I'm going to go in with this Luxury palette by Charlotte Tilbury, and it's in the shade Pillow Talk. I had purchased this actually at Nordstrom's not too long ago, and I've just had it in this bag, so I've been waiting to use it, but they usually come in this really pretty brown packaging. Sorry about the fingerprints. So this is what the shades look like. It's just like a very like light pink mauve. It's got this really beautiful shimmery shade, and I think this one's also shimmery shade, but it's not as shimmery. So I'm going to go ahead and set my eyes. This is not high end, but I'm using the Wet n Wild Brulee shadow to set my eyes. I love this shadow to set my eyes. It's just like the perfect shade. But before I do that, I want to show you guys this eye brush set that I just purchased, and it's the Sonia G eye set, and it comes with 5 eyeshadow brushes. I was really excited to get this because I've heard so many people rant and rave about this, and I'm just excited to use these brushes. I've never really owned like a high-end eye brush set. I do have some high-end brushes, but they've never really been like a set. It's usually where I buy one brush that's high-end and then I'll wait again for a sale or something and then I'll buy another brush. So anyway, I did buy these. These are the brushes that I'm actually going to use today, and I want to show you guys what the brushes actually look like. But look how beautiful these brushes are. They're just so elegant and just so beautiful, and the brush hairs on these brushes are so super soft. So I'm really excited to use these. So what I'm going to do is for the first brush, I'm going to go in with the Builder Pro. That's this one that I just showed you. And I'll show you each brush as I go throughout the video. But I'm going to go in with this one, and I'm going to use that Brulee shadow. Wow, this brush feels super soft, and it set that shadow really nicely. So now I'm going to go in with the Charlotte Tilbury palette. The next brush that I'm going to use is the Blender Pro, and it looks like this. I'm going to go in with this shade right here. It's more of a light pink shade. So I'm going to list the names of the shades as I go through. I'm going to list them right here, but I'm going to go ahead and go into that light pink shade, and I'm going to put that in my crease. These brushes feel super good on the eyes. They're so easy to work with, and they're blending that product out nicely. So what I'm doing is actually going into the crease and then just a little bit above the crease. So the pink shade had some really good pigmentation to it. So the next shade that I'm going to go into, and I'm going to use a different brush, I'm going to use the Crease Pro brush, and it looks like this. And I'm going to use the next shade, which is the shade right under the pink shade, and it's more of like a mauve shade. I'm going to use that shade in my crease. So I'm going to use it more to deepen the crease. That's blending in really nicely with that pink shade. So that looks really nice. I'm going to go back in with the Builder Pro brush. I'm going to go into this really beautiful shimmer shade. So that shimmer shade's not really giving me enough color payoff. I'm going to try to build it up. It's not really looking like how I want it to look. Let me try, instead of using the brush, using my finger, because it seems like it's a little bit more of a chunky consistency. So what I'm thinking, guys, this is like a topper shadow. It's not really like a, you know, like a chrome shadow or anything like that. It goes on very lightly, even with my finger. So what I'm gonna do is take that Builder Pro brush. I'm gonna go into the shadow right here that's above that one, because this one seems like it's a little more, yeah, it seems like it's a little bit more pigmented. So I'm gonna go over that shadow that I just put on with this shadow. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So what I want to do is kind of deepen up the crease a little bit. So I'm going to go back into the Crease Pro brush, and I'm going to go back into that mauve shade that's at the bottom. And I'm going to deepen up the crease a little bit. That's perfect. Okay, so I want to go ahead and use this shimmer shade again, and then just kind of dab it onto my lid. So just to have that little sparkle effect. So I'm going to take the MAC 242, I'm going to wet the brush. I don't want to wet my Sonia G brushes, so I'm just going to use this old brush to actually place some more of that shimmer on my lid. So I wet the brush a little bit, I'm just kind of swirling it in that product, and then I'm just going to dab it on my eyelid to give me a lot more sparkle. I will say that that did not really make a difference. So we're just gonna go ahead and move on to the next thing, and that's gonna be my foundation. I have been testing this foundation out for a little while now. I'm kind of on the fence on whether I like it or not. So I'm gonna go ahead and show it to you today. Let me tell you what it is. It's the Chanel Ultra Le Tint Ultra Wear All Day Comfort Flawless Finish Foundation. And this is what the bottle looks like. I have the shade BD51. So I'm gonna use this today. So just know that I've been testing it out. I'm still working with it. So anyway, let me go ahead and pump. I've got one pump here of the foundation. I'm just gonna go ahead and use my Wet n Wild sponge to actually apply this to my face. Another thing about this foundation is that I have to go in with probably about 2 to 3 pumps, only because it's very lightweight. And you guys know I like that full coverage, so I try to get it there with this foundation. I will say that this foundation applies beautifully. I forgot to put on a pore primer. Oh well. I usually put on my e.l.f. Poreless Primer on my T-zone, and I forgot to do that today. Anywho, so I'm gonna let that set, and I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my concealer. Today I'm using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Light Capturing Self-Setting Concealer. I picked this up during the Makeup Forever Friends and Family sale. I picked up the shade 32, and it looks really light, so I might have picked up the wrong shade. It doesn't look as light on the applicator. Can you see that? So what I'm gonna do is, you know what I forgot to do? I need to do this because this is a must. I need to put on my hydrating primer. You guys know that I use this Smashbox Under Eye Hydrating Primer. I love this stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on my under eyes. I really should have done this like before my foundation because it kind of just like smears. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm forgetting the steps, the makeup steps that I usually do. So while that's sinking into my under eyes, I'm gonna go ahead and do my brows. I'm not going in with a high-end brow pencil. I'm going in with the CoverGirl pencil, and I'm using the shade 710 Soft Brown. This is actually the Ultra Fine Brow Pencil. Okay, so now I've done my brows, so I'm gonna go in with this Makeup Forever concealer. It's not too thick, it's pretty liquidy. We'll just see how that works. It doesn't look too bad. It's probably a little bit lighter than what I expected, but it doesn't look really bad. I'm gonna go in with the Wet n Wild sponge. It feels really lightweight on the eyes, or the under eyes, and it blended really well with the sponge. Yeah, it's got okay coverage. It doesn't look like really full coverage, but it still looks really beautiful. I'm gonna go in with just a little bit more because I like a little bit more coverage under my eyes. So I'm just gonna go in right here, and that gave me a little bit more coverage. I really feel like it brightened up the eyes too. So I'm going to go ahead and set it with my Laura Mercier Secret Blurring Powder for the under eyes. I'm using this Morphe M501. It's set really nicely with that powder. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in medium just to get a little bit more coverage, and I'm going to blend it in with the sponge. So I bought two face powders from this brand called Decorté. This is it right here. This is what the box looks like. I know my camera's bright. I'm trying to hold it back here because I know that sometimes you can't see, if it's a light color, you can't see the lettering or anything like that. But I'm going to list everything down below. I ended up buying the shade Lucent Beige and also the shade Shiny Terracotta. So one of them I'm going to use to buff my skin. It has more like a shimmering effect to it. That's the Terracotta one. And then the Lucent Beige is more like a setting powder. So the reason I bought these was because I saw on Mel Thompson's channel, she either got them in PR or she purchased them, I can't remember, but she ended up really loving them to actually set the face and actually buff the face at the end when you've done all your makeup. I remember actually looking online when she mentioned them on her channel, and they had them at Saks Fifth Avenue. So I don't have a Saks Fifth Avenue that's located next to me, so I was just gonna order them online. But what happened was I went to Houston a couple weeks ago and they had a Saks Fifth Avenue there and they had these powders. When I walked in, they didn't have the shades that I was looking for. I guess they were pretty much sold out. So I ended up purchasing them there and then they shipped them to me. So I was actually glad that I could go in the store and swatch these so I could see what shades actually work best for me. So this is what the packaging looks like. So it says Decorté on here. I've never heard of this brand until Mel Thompson mentioned it on her channel. So I wanted to try it to see what it was all about. So the inside comes with this little puff. So it has this little sifter area right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and just place some into the cap. When I swatched these in store, they were like the most delicate, most refined powder that I have seen in a while. So I was like so excited to actually purchase these. Okay, so the brush I'm gonna use today is this Hourglass double-ended brush. I purchased it when I purchased the Hourglass powder. So I'm just gonna dip the brush in there and then I'm gonna just powder my face. Wow, that looks really beautiful. It's a beautiful shade for my skin tone. It makes my skin look really soft and velvety. It's just really pretty. All right, so I do love the way this went on and it just set my makeup beautifully. It does have like a distinct like perfume smell, but it's not real strong or anything. It's very light. So I'm really excited to use these two new bronzers that I got by Fenty Beauty. I purchased two colors. One of them is Island Ting and the other one is Caramel Cutie. So here's the packaging. They're called the Stalk'r Instant Warmth Bronzers. So let me go ahead and open these. I wasn't sure which one was gonna actually look really good on my skin tone, so I went ahead and purchased two. I did swatch most of them in the store. We'll see how these work for me today. I am gonna be putting both of these on today. This is like beautiful copper packaging. It's gorgeous. Of course, it comes with a mirror and there's your shade there. This shade right here is Caramel Cutie. It's just a beautiful shade. Caramel Cutie is actually a little darker than Island Ting. This is Island Ting right here. So I'm gonna show them side by side. So this is Caramel Cutie, this is Island Ting. So what I'm gonna do is go in with Island Ting first and I'm gonna use it on this side of my face. And the brush I've been loving for bronzer is this Japanesque 736 brush. It's a large stippling brush. I have cleaned it off as much as I can to where there's no excess from the other bronzers. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with Island Ting first and I'm just gonna tap my brush in there. Oh, that's pretty. It's not coming off too harsh. And it's like one of those bronzers that you can actually build up where it doesn't have like that streak of bronze that you would have to like blend out. It just looks really pretty. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with this one, which is Caramel Cutie, and I'm gonna use Caramel Cutie on this side. So let me clean off my brush. Let me go ahead and dip into Caramel Cutie. Yeah, I can definitely see that Caramel Cutie's a lot darker than this one here, but they're both super beautiful. This one has a little bit more warmth to it. This one is more of like a neutral bronze. A bronze that has more of brown tones. This one has more like a slight red tone to it, but they're still both very beautiful bronzers. I'm gonna go ahead and mix Caramel Cutie with the Island Ting on this side, just so I can have that even bronzer. And I'll put Island Ting on this side with Caramel Cutie. Kind of mix those together. That looks so pretty. Okay, and then I'm just gonna use whatever's left on the brush for my forehead, my chin, my neck. I know you can't tell on the camera, but I look so tanned, like I just went to the beach. So yeah, these are really pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with this blush called Pillow Talk. This is part of the Pillow Talk line that came out with Charlotte Tilbury. This is actually what it looks like. It's just a beautiful, like, I wanna say it's like a kind of a peachy toned bronze. And then it's got this little highlighter in the middle. So what it says on the box is you swish your brush around the color and put that on your cheeks, and then you put this as a pop of highlight on the cheekbone. I'm gonna go ahead and just take all of this together, and then I'm going to put it on my cheeks. I love that. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So this is really, really beautiful, guys, and it went on so beautifully. It looks so nice. So for highlight, I purchased this Cheerleader's Bronze Squad palette, but here's what the palette looks like. And it's got all these beautiful shades in here. It also comes with a brush. Now I've gotten those brushes in the past, but I haven't really used them. I love the fact that it has the new Hoola Caramel, because I do love the Hoola bronzer, but I love the fact that it comes with the Hoola Caramel. It also comes with a new highlighter called Cookie. Or at least is one of their best-selling blushes. You have another blush here that's kind of like a highlighter blush called Gold Rush. So today I'm gonna go in with Cookie because I've been wanting to use this highlighter so bad, but I wanted to wait to use it on camera with you guys. So I'm just going to put that on the high points of my cheeks. Oh yes, that is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. Oh my gosh, look how gorgeous that is. Guys, I was not going to purchase this because I was like, this thing is so big and bulky, but when I saw people swatching this and using the Cookie on their cheekbones, I was like, I need to get that palette because it was so beautiful. Plus, I want to try the Hoola Caramel here soon, and then the Coralista, because I don't have the Coralista blush. But yeah, I'm so glad that I purchased it because look how gorgeous that highlight looks. It's beautiful. Now, they do have a smaller, I think it's just a little palette that has 3 in it. I think it has a blush, a bronzer, which is the Hoola bronzer, and then it has Cookie in it as well. So you don't have to purchase this big palette just to get Cookie. You can actually purchase the one that has the 3 shades in it. And I think they sell that one at Sephora because I haven't seen it at Ulta. So before we get into lips, I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the eyes, and I'm going in with this Sonia G Pencil Pro, and it looks like this. I'm going to use that just on my bottom lash line. I'm going to go in with a pink shade first. That applies the shadow so smoothly. Now I'm going in with the darker shade. And I'm kind of going in right on the bottom of that pink shade. I'm not really blending it with the pink shade. This is like perfect because it hugs the area right here underneath the waterline. It does such a good job. So let's go ahead and get into lips. I'm gonna use this lip pencil by MAC in Hover, and I'm going to line my lips really quickly. So for lipstick, today I'm gonna go in with this Melt lipstick, and it's in the shade Lucretia. It's this shade right here. I'm gonna go ahead and place that on my lips. Oh, that's such a pretty shade. It's like a pinky, kind of like a pinky mauve tone. It's really pretty. So for lip gloss, I want to go in with this Lime Crime Wet Cherry Lip Gloss in the shade Naked Cherry. I have had this for a while. I purchased it at Urban Outfitters and I have been wanting to use it. It's such a beautiful, like, kind of like a mauvey, light mauvey tone color. I'm just gonna place that on top of this lipstick, which this lipstick by itself is gorgeous, but I do wanna see how the lip gloss goes on. Oh my gosh, yes. That is super glossy. That is so pretty. Okay, so to finish off all of my makeup, I'm gonna go in with the Decorté face powder in Shiny Terracotta. The shade's a bit darker than the Lucent Beige, and it has more of a sparkle effect to it. I'm gonna go ahead and use this to buff all over my skin. Just tap a little bit in here. I'm gonna go in with this Glow Bouquet brush from Eco Tools. This brush is like super, super soft. So I'm gonna use this to actually just buff everything together. And this is the first time that I'm using this brush. So beautiful. I really love the way this buffed out all my makeup. And it didn't even move the makeup around. It just blended in seamlessly. It just looks really beautiful on the skin. It has a little tint to it and it has like a little shimmer to it, but it's not like shimmer where you're gonna see like glitter all over your face or anything like that. It's just a subtle shimmer. So the last thing I'm gonna use is this Anastasia Dewy Set Setting Spray. I'm excited to use this. It comes in this beautiful like glitter bottle, but it doesn't have glitter in it. It just looks like it does. So the closure is just like kind of like a MAC Fix Plus. You can lock it to where you won't accidentally spray it, and then you can open it up when you're ready to spray. So I'm just gonna shake this and I'm gonna spray it all over my face. Wow, a lot comes out of the little sprayer. It really soaked my skin. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you my first impressions about these products. Okay guys, let's talk about first impressions. So let's see, let's start with, what are we gonna start with? So let's go ahead and talk about the Charlotte Tilbury products first. So the first product I wanna talk about is the Pillow Talk palette. Now, I purchased this palette because I heard a lot of good reviews about it. And you know, people were saying it's one of those palettes that you have to have. And I would say that this is not a palette that you have to have. I will say that it is a good palette. The formulation in this palette, as far as the mattes and the light shimmer color here are concerned, those worked really well on the eye. What I did not like about this palette is this shade right here. I used a brush and I used my finger with this shade. I also wet a brush to see if it would apply a little bit more opaque, and it did not. It gives a very slight shimmer, but it's not a shimmer that I can actually see on the eyelid. And because this palette is so expensive, I would say that there are other palettes out there that are least expensive, that have similar colors, that are gonna be a little bit more opaque, that they're gonna have a little bit more pigmentation than the Pillow Talk palette. So for first impressions, I wasn't really impressed on the fact that this shade right here didn't work well for me. And like I said, it's an expensive palette, so I would expect all the shades to work really well. So let's get into the blush. So the Charlotte Tilbury blush in Pillow Talk, this blush is gorgeous. It is so beautiful on the skin. I love the way it applied. I love that pop of shimmer that it has in there, where I can mix it all together and just have that glow when I put on my blush, or I can just use the matte shade on the outside and just use that for a pop of color. I really love this concept where you can use one or the other, or use both at the same time. So I really love that. I think this is a great blush and I really like this. So let's talk about the Fenty Beauty bronzers. I really like these bronzers. They go on very smooth. They are a buildable type bronzer. They don't come off too harsh. They just look really nice on the skin and they blend in really well. I love both of these shades. I believe that Ting is more of a warmer red tone shade and this one is more of a warmer brown bronze shade. I know she has quite a few shades in the line and it's just really depending on what your preference is. Some people like more warm tones, some people like more neutral, so it just depends on what you like. I really like both of these. I'm really excited that I was able to pick these up and try them for you today. So these are some great bronzers that Fenty has released and I know that I'm really going to enjoy them. So for the Decorté face powders, I really love these face powders. I think that they set the face so beautifully. The Lucent Beige gives such a beautiful, velvet finish to the skin. And then the Terracotta just looks gorgeous. It makes my skin look so like healthy and alive. It has such a beautiful soft shimmer effect that it just brings that glow from within look onto my skin. So I am really impressed with both of these. I'm really glad that Mel Thompson mentioned these on her channel because I would have never known about these. So yeah, really loving these. So for the Sonia G brushes, guys, these are an absolute game changer for me. They made applying my shadows so effortless. They're super soft. They just blend those shadows beautifully. They are a bit expensive, but I really feel like if you want to invest in some good brushes, you should try the Sonia G eye brush kit because it's phenomenal. I'm super impressed with these brushes. And I think that anybody could actually use them even if you're someone that's new to makeup. So I'm really glad that I invested in these brushes. So as far as the Makeup Forever HD Light Capturing Self-Setting Concealer, this concealer went on really nicely. It did look really smooth under the eyes, but I really feel like I had to add a little bit more for coverage because I do have dark circles like right here. So I did have to add a little bit more and it did give me a little bit more coverage. But looking at it now, it looks like it kind of faded. It kind of faded right here on the inner part of my eyes. It does say that it's self-setting. I did have the concealer on for just like a minute or so before I actually set it. But even then, I see a little bit of creasing right here. I don't know if that's because I set it with powder and you're not supposed to set it. But yeah, it just doesn't look as full coverage as it did initially. Like I said, it looks like it kind of faded right here. So first impressions, I'm not so impressed with this so far. So what I'll do is I'll try to use this on its own and not set it so quickly and just let it self-set and then maybe add powder. But so far, I'm just not loving the coverage of this and I'm not loving that it faded on my under eye. So for the Melt lipstick in Lucretia, this lipstick went on really nicely and it has such beautiful pigmentation to it. The color was perfect. I really love this shade for the spring and summer months to come because I really just feel like it's just that perfect like pinky rose shade. As you can see there, it's just so gorgeous. I really like the application and color of this. As far as the Lime Crime Wet Cherry Gloss, I love this gloss. I love the way that it makes my lips look so full and plump, and honestly, it doesn't feel like sticky. It's not getting on my teeth. It just went on so glossy and beautiful and it makes the lips look really juicy and plump. So as far as the Anastasia Dewy Set Spray, I don't really like the way this sprays on my face. It sprays like super heavy. I know that my Wet n Wild sprays heavy, but not as heavy as this. It just feels like I walked into a shower and then got out. It's just really drenching. And another thing, I really liked the way my makeup looked before I put this on, and once I put this on, it looks like it accentuated my pores just a little bit, like accentuated the texture on my skin. I don't know, like it made it look a little oily instead of like dewy. Does that make sense? It just doesn't have that glow to it like it did before I put this on. So yeah, I'm not really digging this. It just didn't work out for me. So for the Chanel foundation, like I said, I'm still testing this out. If you guys want to see a full review, let me know. And since I'm wearing it again today, I'm going to go ahead and test it out the rest of the day. So I'll try to give you guys an update on this. But yeah, if you want to see a review, let me know. And I can't forget the Cheerleader's Bronze Squad palette. This cookie shade is insane. It's, oh my gosh, it's insane. It's so beautiful. That's the cookie shade right there. I don't know if you can tell, but there it is. It's gorgeous. It went on beautifully. It didn't accentuate texture. It looks very glowy. It looks kind of like that wet look. It's just such a beautiful highlight. I can't wait to use the other products in the palette. I'm loving this highlight. It's bomb. It's so good. I will mention the Glow Bookie Eco Tools brush. This is such a very soft type brush. It just blended that powder in so nicely. And I actually got this one on sale, so I'm hoping that I can go back and find more because this one is just so super soft. So that's it for my first impressions of these high-end products. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.